Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So today's reflection is reflection number 326. And this is the second part of a three-part reflections of the book, The Way of Integrity, Finding the Path to Your True Self by Martha Beck. So let's hear it, Chris.
Yeah, I am flying blind because my internet's out, so I'm on my phone. I'm going to try to do this one off the top of my head without any aid. If I remember right, the reflection title for this is Are You Sure? Thank you for sharing. So the author asks this question in the book. She says, like, are you sure? And she was like, just a question. You're like, what do you mean? Are you sure? Are you 100% sure that something that you're saying is that you're 100% sure, right? If you say, oh man, this pickleball venture that we're trying to start right now, I am sure that if we do not have this technology in place the way that it needs to be, there's no way that we can succeed. And you're like, are you sure? Well, no, I'm not
Are you
100% sure. I mean,
sure?
no, I'm not sure. Like it's not a sure, right? I'm pretty sure. But you're right. Okay. How could I do that differently? Well, we could do this. Like, we could try that. We could try this. Oh, okay. Right. So the problem is like when you ask that question, are you sure? A lot of things start to unravel, right? And it really can help guide you toward what the author calls 1 degree turn towards your integrity. So like every day, taking like a 1 degree turn toward, are you sure? Oh, okay. All right. Well, take a tiny little turn and, reorienting yourself just a tiny little bit. Each day you're taking like a 1 degree turn toward your integrity kind of thing is what she likes to talk about. So the thing, it got me thinking about like those people that you see in life, you meet that are sure and they're sure. Like, that they know something about something and that they know where they're going and what they're going to do. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, those kind of people, you ever meet them, have them in your life where you're just like, I know that they are sure of something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Not too many people comes to mind.
It's not too many people, right? So like, that's exactly when I started to think about this question of like, who comes to mind for me when I say like, I am sure that they are sure, right? About something, in this world. And for me, it was initially, my mother and my grandmother, who I call Granny, my mom's mom. Like, those two are sure that God exists. Sure. Like, I mean, without a doubt. Like, they've been I've watched them be challenged my entire life. My own father. I watched this in my own household every single day of my life. This was very formative, I guess, in my formative years, watching my mom and my dad go at it, like, about God and Jesus and religion, right? My dad is not sure about God and about religion. My dad loves my mom, I'm sure of that. But my mom is very sure about this. Whenever my dad would challenge her and be like, are you sure? He would ask her this all the time. And she'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking sure. Leave me the fuck alone. Like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, it got so bad that at one point in time, I think I wrote this I can't quite remember if I told the story or not in there, but there was this one point in time, I remember my sister had already gone off to college. She's like 3.5 years older than I am. She's my only sister. She'd already gone off to college. I was like a sophomore in high school. I was sitting there at the dinner table, my parents, and I love my parents to death, by the way. I don't want them to sound like they're bad people, like, because they're not. They're great. They're amazing people. But, everybody has flaws, right? So, they got into one of their normal nightly like tiffs about deep shit, about like religion and stuff like that. And you're like, we're sitting my mom would make dinner every night. I'm sitting at the dining room table with them, after like a hard day of school and sports and whatever. And they're had a hard day at work. And, we're all supposed to be sitting down, have a nice family meal. And we're like arguing about religion or something. And I remember my mom going, okay, Dale, my dad's name is Dale. Okay, Dale, fine. We're just not going to be soulmates. We're just not going to spend eternity together. And that's fine. Like, it's fine. And I'm like looking around going, what the fuck is happening right now? This is my childhood, right? Growing up. This is the stuff that happened all the time. And I was watching my dad ask my mom if she's sure. And my mom saying, I am 100 fucking percent sure. I am sure that my mom is sure of this. And I'm even more sure that my grandmother, her mother, is even more and more sure of this, right? Like, these two are just sure. Like, it, right? When you're around that presence of people that are like that, there's something that kind of draws you into it. If you think of it off the top of your mind, somebody that I don't know a lot of those people because it's pretty rare to actually be around somebody that knows something and knows what direction that they're going in. And that's what they're going to do. And there's something about that's just appealing about that, of just the consistency, the sureness, like, of just feeling that you're secure around them and you know what they're going to do. Right. So for me, this got me thinking about my own 1 degree turn toward integrity over the past 4 years, roughly, of this journey since Amelia had passed away. And, 3 of those years have been with you on this journey as well. I asked a question one day. I don't remember the exact day this was, but I actually remember what happened. It was somewhere around like 3 or 4 months after Amelia had passed away. I was in the shower. I just, I was still off of work at that point in time, and, just kind of wandering through the rubble of my life. And I remember it was like in the middle of the morning, the sun was coming. We have this little window area in my shower that, like, at certain points in the day, the light hits it perfectly where the sun will come through the small windows. If you're in the shower stall thing, the tiled shower area, the sun will hit perfectly and you can see rays of sun hitting on you as you're in the shower. Well, it was one of those days. I just gotten in from a long run, been writing to Amelia still, like still trying to figure out life, and slowly starting to take 1 degree turn toward integrity every single day. And I remember seeing steam coming off of my arm, right? Like I could see the steam coming off my arm. And it almost looked like there was this presence or something like that around me. And I'm like, man, all the things that I can't see in life just kind of got me thinking about all the things that are around us that we can't see that maybe are still there. And I don't know why, the question jumped into my head of like, am I sure that Amelia is not with me? I know she's not here physically, but am I sure that I can't continue on with the relationship with Amelia in some way, shape, or form in this world, in some capacity? Is that it? Is the relationship over? Somebody's not physically present near you. Is that when the relationship ends? Can I still be a father to my daughter? And the answer to that was, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know that I can definitively say that that's the case, right? Somebody's no longer here with us, that they can't continue on to have a relationship with them. And honestly, that was the question that led me down the road toward finding my purpose of living for two, right? Like that, this is what the 1 degree turn toward integrity every single day. I wrote in this reflection, I totally missed it, but I think I know how people can say they're sure now these days. And it actually goes back to a reflection early on from the Matthew Kelly book, Resisting Happiness, where we talked about, 10 minutes a day can change your life, right? And here's how I think people become sure is they ask the question, are you sure? And then they say, you know what? I don't know. I'm going to stop. I'm going to think. I'm going to reflect about it. And then I'm going to do that every single day. And then I'm going to keep taking that 10 minutes a day to call it prayer, call it meditation, call it checking in with yourself, call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's spending time with your thoughts to say, are you sure? And I can go, you know what? Yeah, today we did this. So like, I think that this is the case, and that's where I'm going to be today. And then tomorrow I'll check in again. And the next day I'll check in again. Eventually, over time, you become sure. Like to the point in time where that initial question that I asked a few months after my daughter had passed away led me down the road of all this stuff. What you're reading right now in this reflection, what we're talking about right now is a result of those 1 degree turns toward your integrity every single day and your path toward your purpose, to come to the conclusion that I am sure that I can have a relationship with my daughter when she is no longer physically present with me here. And this is how we go about our life every single day. So I don't even remember how I officially ended this, but I think I finally figured out how my mom and my grandmother do what they do and how they can be so sure. I feel like if there is one thing that I do know, it's that I'm sure that I can still be a father to my daughter, even though she's not here. And I'll continue to do that for the rest of my life. You can call it stupid. I don't care what you want to call it. There was one word that I hate the most before this whole journey that I hated the absolute most. It made me want to, like, my skin crawl and want to, like, just punch people. Do you know what the word was?
No, I don't.
Faith. The word faith. It made me want to, because every time that my dad and my mom, this is my whole life, every time that my dad and my mom would hit a crossroads, she would say, you know what, Dale, I have faith. And then the conversation would end, right? It's like, that's it. Like, how do you argue that? Because it's this abstract thing, and for me, like, those words were like, hey, you know what? I don't give a shit. Like, I am sure, this is my belief. I have faith. Like, you can't challenge this. You can't argue with this. You can't debate this. Like, there is no, I have faith that my daughter is with me every single day, and I'm carrying on in a conversation that I'm carrying on a relationship with her. And you can't challenge me on that. You could call me an idiot. You could say the Bible's make believe. Your daughter's dead. Like, your daughter's not here. Like, Chris, just recognize that, realize that, go live your life that way. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. So, like, that's not how I'm going to do it. So anyway, I am sure. And I think that question is really important, is you should ask, are you sure, about whatever you need to be sure about in life? Are you sure? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Love to get your thoughts.
Everything boils down to your personal perspectives and your connection with the beliefs that you have. A lot of people say, like, for me, I don't like the word faith as well, but it's not a bad word. For me, it's like, don't try and explain to me how you believe in something by saying it's faith, because the thing is, saying so doesn't make it so. Right? Because
but it does, if you're sure.
But no, the thing is, throughout our journey, we know that every single person is unique. That we know for
Right.
sure. That everybody is unique, and their journey, it is their own. We cannot lead their journey, and they cannot lead ours. Our life journey is our own. That I know for sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, I can't explain to you, and I'm not going to explain to you. If you ask me to explain to you, and I say it's faith, it's a cop out answer.
Whoa. Sorry. I get my internet just kicked.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. Yeah,
okay. So I'm saying is, the faith is for you to use. It's not for you to explain to somebody. When you tell somebody, have faith in this, have faith in that, in reality, in practice, it doesn't mean anything to the other person, because faith is just another word. Because I cannot relate it. I cannot bank on faith. But faith for you, from your internal perspective, it counts, because that's what you believe in, and you cannot change. Like, for example, for me, you cannot change my way of thinking, and I cannot change your way of thinking, because you, quote unquote, have faith that you and your daughter are on this journey. For example, I asked you, hey Chris, are you sure you want to live for two? And your answer would be, hell yes. And to you, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. And to you, that is what you see evidence of. To you, this is what you see. This is the question you ask yourself in the beginning. Say, do I truly believe that my daughter is still with me today? The first answer you say to yourself was, well, I don't know. And then you ask again, are you sure? Yeah. And then next thing, yes. And then this is hell yes, right? So then that this is your 1 degree every single day.
Yep.
If you keep turning in the compass, keep pointing to same direction, you become more sure of it. And then once you get to the point where the overwhelming evidence for yourself, not for anyone else, but for yourself, that is going to give you that confidence that, hey, I am, really sure that this is what I believe in. This is, and I have faith in, whether people can see it. Because faith is something that you say, well, I know in my heart, I just don't know how to explain it to you. To me, that's what the word faith means.
It is literally. It is. You can't explain.
So the thing is, don't try to use faith to explain to people. Say, hey, you have to have faith. To me, to the other person, like if you tell me that, right? From my perspective, getting the receiver of that answer, it means shit to me. Right. But I can see from the other end where I have come to have so many different events and experiences. I have become believe in this particular journey. So if you ask me about this journey, hey, True, are you sure you are, you are sure about the company life path that you chose to completely do 180 on, right? From the life that you had before, now you're doing the 180 on it. Are you sure, right? With all the experiences I have today, I can tell you, yes, hell yes, I'm sure.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Because the thing is, I have gone through a journey similar, but it's a personal journey. It is something that is going to be different for me, and it's going to be different for you, and it's going to be different for someone else. And I can't tell somebody, I can't really explain to people, hey, this is a journey that you're going to go through, and you're going to go through the same thing. Thing is, the odds are no one is ever going to have the same journey that I have. So there's no way for me to tell them, hey, this is the way it goes, and this is what you expect. You're going to come, you can see this little person, and you're going to see this person going to say this. And it's not like a game that is fixed. It's not a kind of environment where all the NPCs and all the characters is fixed, and they give you the same answers every time you ask them a question, right? Because it depends on whatever, so dynamic, so many variables, they're going to give you something different. So your complete uniqueness create a unique journey, and that unique journey is only be experienced by you. And so when you say I have faith in something, it is only for you to say I can't explain to you, but there's something that I have led me to believe that this is the right path for me.
It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I fully understand that it is working for me. I just cannot explain it to you in words. And I think in a way, when people are asking if you're sure, but you're making a great point in saying that every single time you're asking yourself, are you sure? You're basically tweaking that 1 degree. And
Yeah.
each degree that you start to turn and tweak the point of the compass, it's going to give you the true accurate path where you should be. And so that, I think, is probably more methodological than most people will tell you. Like, a lot of people will say, hey, I'm really sure of something,
Yeah,
but they
I'm sure
can't.
that capitalism is better than socialism. I'm sure of that. And you're like, are you really sure? Well, I mean, I don't know. Let me think about it. I mean, let me go research all the different socialist states that have ever existed in this world and all the capitalistic states, and let me go do some research on that. Oh, okay. Well, great. Well, let me give you this example. Are you sure still? Well, I mean, like if you ask me right now, like, am I sure?
It's like asking the 5 why.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I don't think that if I sat and thought every single day and asked a serious question about capitalism for the next 3 years of my life, that I would come to the conclusion that capitalism is the only way in which you can grow an economy or live in a modern world environment of whatever the goal is of capitalism. I mean, I would not be sure of that. Would you be sure of that? You tell me, but I don't know.
I don't know, because
I don't know,
haven't
right?
asked
I mean,
the five why. I haven't asked the 5. Are you sure?
really, until you get to the point in time where you're like, there's no more questions to ask.
Right, because the thing is, you're gonna ask the question, "Are you sure?" until you get either a no or a yes. Because if you say that means that, hey, that's 1 more degree, until, yeah, I'm sure it's not, I'm sure it is. So
Yep.
there are only 2 ways you can get to it, right? You get to the point where you say, I'm going to keep peeling the layer of this onion until you get to the point where you say, hey, there is or there isn't, right? Just imagine there's some kind of, like, maybe a gem inside of an onion, and just peel the layers. And the question for you is, are you sure it's there, or are you sure it's not?
Right.
And you get to the point to the middle, right? There's nothing to uncover anymore. Then you say, well, yeah, there is or there isn't. You get to the more of the definitive one. And this is where I think, it's hard to understand, because every single person's journey is completely unique to their own. And so that's the reason why the explanations of faith is being abused.
It's so, well, it's not abused. It's that when somebody truly has
They
faith,
use it the wrong way, because to me,
right?
faith has its places. I mean,
Yes.
because you have faith that your daughter does have a relationship with you, and
Yeah.
she is actually living, like you say, you're living for two. Are you sure you're living for two? And I mean, the thing is, you believe that, and to you, that is something you believe in. That's something that you know in your heart, that you can feel it, right?
Yeah.
But it's not something you can explain to somebody, right? So you can say, "Hey, I have faith in this," but you
It's
can
left brain, right
explain it.
brain. It's left brain, right brain. Our left brain wants to give us a logic, scientific, rational, like the truth is, the things that matter most to us are never going to be logical. I mean, I don't think that that's ever been the case. That, like, the reason why dudes like, who's that guy that we hate? Jordan Peterson. Like, the reason why people hate Jordan Peterson is because he only ever tries to be logical. But we all know it doesn't matter. Like, you can be logical to somebody all day long, and then that isn't what people get up every day for. They don't get up in the morning for logic.
We don't live in logic.
We
We
live in
live in emotion. Because regardless of what you tell me, hey, that snake, it's not gonna bite you. Why are you still afraid?
I don't know. Like, you
I mean,
can't
that
use
that
logic.
that
Like,
that roach on the floor. I mean, you are 1,000 times
I
the size of the cockroach. But every single time I see my daughter, I saw some kind of cockroach. It's like, ah, she would jump. It's like, I mean, it's illogical. So we are
right.
we are emotional beings, right? We are that. That's what I'm saying is, I don't care what you want to be. You cannot be happy wanting to be what you want to be. You have to be what you are.
Right. Yes.
Because you are driven by emotion. Because otherwise you become monk, or you become like some statue. Because I ask you, okay, you don't need to eat. Why are you eating? I can give you an IV, and you won't die.
That's not true.
What do you eat?
That's actually not true. I mean, because I saw Amelia, they give babies that are born as early as her because they can't drink breast milk, right? So they have to give them this God, what is it called? It's really gross. It's like this milky white substance that literally is just intravenously fed into their bodies.
Well, the thing is, yes and no. Man,
well, they can still get the calories they need, but they won't thrive.
No. I'm not saying about growing. I'm just saying, hey, you won't die, because the thing is, You can keep a brain alive by just stimulating the
Right.
brain, right?
I
That's what
mean,
I'm saying. This is what I'm saying is, specifically speaking. I mean, I'm not asking for. I'm not saying you're gonna grow, right? Hey, do
yeah,
you want to grow? Blah blah, right? I'm asking, say, hey, you won't die. Meaning, hey, I can keep you alive, right? But you won't die. I mean, your brain still be alive, and you can feel some stuff. But I'm saying is, there's a lot of things that you don't have to do. But why do you need to do it? So let's say, hey, you can work, 16 hours a day. You can do it, right?
right.
But why do you choose to go and have fun with friends? Why do you need to connect? Why do you need to socialize? But you choose to, because the thing is, without socializing, you feel miserable. So you cannot be what you want to be. You have to be what you are. You are a human being. You are a social creature. So you must connect. So that's why we're saying meaningful work, meaningful relationship, because we are human beings. We cannot be something else. We cannot be a tree, right? We cannot be something, a jellyfish. We are human being, because human being has a certain characteristic that we have to express, and that is social interactions. We cannot live without that.
Logical. That's not logical. Like you couldn't exist without by yourself. Like I mean, like look at Thoreau. He did it. Like that's somebody that's more logical than you are. You know.
The road, that's not me. I don't fucking care what the road does.
No, he
I
did.
don't fucking.
He didn't live by himself. He went to fucking town all the time and hung out with people, and then went back to his
Like I
cabin.
say, I'm
I mean,
giving you the benefit of that. Even if the road does it, I don't care what the road does, because I'm
he
not the
didn't do
road.
it. Like
but
even the only example that anybody ever gives of the fucking one guy that's like, well, Thoreau did it, like I mean, that's what the whole book's about, is like spending time. The one dude that I can think of that tried that I remember reading the story was that guy Chris McCandless of Into the Wild. The story about him going into the Alaskan bush and being completely off the grid and not telling anybody, dying out there by himself, like in his journals that he was keeping.
why do you think we have this primitive instinct to belong in a group and not be the last one?
It's survival.
Because your survival
right.
probability completely like shots to the bottom. You can say, hey, you look at all the zebra, right? You don't want to be the straggler. You want to be the guy in the middle.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't want to be the last guy, right? This is why we don't want to say, hey, I want to be last in line. Even for me, is I'm the black sheep character, and for most part, I don't really want to belong to a group. But in some sense, I do. In most sense, I don't. But in some sense, I do. I mean, I don't want to go and live by myself with nobody.
Right.
I don't want people to bother me, but I still want to see them.
Yeah,
I mean,
I lost a child, right? And there's sometimes when you don't want to hang out with your kids, but you want your kids around you, but you don't really want to have to be a parent sometimes. You want their presence around you, but you don't want to necessarily actively parent, right?
I'm saying is the thought of them there, or the thought of there's a person next door, right?
Yeah,
this is what brings you the comfort from the primitive mind. The primitive mind needs to know that, hey, you're not the only one, right? So the security blanket is there. You need that. And that is part of your DNA. You cannot get rid of it. That you are descendants from that particular group of people that thrive on that characteristic, that thrive in a group mentality, right? That's where you came from. So you inherit that DNA, and that DNA, it is in you. Even if someday later on you have diverse way, but you still have that foundation. And so you may say, hey, I like peace and quiet, but I still want to know that, hey, that next door, there's neighbor, down the street, there's a neighbor. If something happens to me, I can always yell at them, hey, I've fallen and I can't get up. Well, who's coming at 911? If you live by yourself, right? Who you gonna call?
Yep. I mean,
who you gonna call?
No one. Right? You're in the Arctic by yourself, and you get trapped in the
so
school
imagine,
bus,
imagine you are the only person on Earth that lives in the Arctic where the winter is harsh. Imagine you're the only person alive on Earth. There's no one else. Imagine that for a second.
Well, it would be awful. It would be torturous. It would be like the movie Castaway, where you're talking to, like, inventing volleyballs named Wilson.
But I'm telling you, you won't last more than a month.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think the human will to endure, the idea that somebody else is out there, because if that were to happen, if you were to just drop me off in the Arctic right now and you could say, Chris, like, you're alone in this world, I would say, are you sure? I would go, I don't know if
If you're sure, then you won't last a month.
if you're sure about the fact that you are alone in this world, I could maybe
This
see,
is this
but
is
that's the
where
thing
we
is,
this is
you could
where
say,
this
I'm
is
not
when we
sure.
yeah this is when we're talking about the prisoner, right? When he lights his last cigarette, he knows he's gonna die because
Yeah, sure.
he was sure that there's nothing
Right.
left.
Yeah.
When
Right.
he's sure there's nothing left, that's when he goes. That's what I'm
I
saying
mean,
is when you know there is no one else on the castaway is say, hey, I'm lost, but I know the civilization
I'm sure
like
that
there. It's
the
not like
like,
I'm the last person on
right,
Earth, and I'm sure know that people. I'm
right,
just lost on this island. I just can't get back to it,
right,
but there is still hope. So that guy can survive for years because there's hope.
right.
But he knows there's other people because he worked for FedEx.
Right, but like, and he's also not sure that he has no path off that island, right? Like, I mean, he's not sure that he's trapped there forever. He's not sure. There's no way that he can get off. Like, if he was sure that there was no
If
way,
he
he probably would be like, "Fuck it, I'm done. I'll just go try to commit suicide or something, or jump off of a cliff." But he wasn't sure. He always had faith.
he always has
That,
hope, right? And he has some degree of, I guess,
faith. I mean, it's what it is.
that word again.
I had faith that somebody was going to help me at some point in time. Like, so I survived and I endured. Like, it's no different than the Stockholm paradox, right? It's you got to be an optimist.
Stockdale.
Stockdale, sorry, Stockholm. Yeah, the Stockdale paradox, right? Of like, you have to have, are you sure faith that you will get out of this place? Yes, you have that. Now that's locked in, then you deal with the reality of the present moment, right? If you don't answer, I am sure that I'm going to leave this place, then you end up lighting your last cigarette. Like, when you have setback after setback and you're like, I'm not sure anymore. And then that 1 degree toward the opposite, where you're like, when you do get back to it, I'm sure that I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm sure. Like, and
Yeah,
I'm
and the sure can go both ways.
right,
Right?
exactly.
Sure, I have hope, or sure, I don't have hope, and it can
Right.
go either way. And that's the thing, when you're sure, and most of these sure is only internal for that
Oh, yeah.
person.
It's
It cannot be explained to anyone else for them to understand. And to me, this is why if you try logically to explain it, it's a losing battle because I mean, to me, if you tell me, hey, just have faith, I
right.
say you're just
You're an idiot.
using this magic. Hey,
Right.
ta-da, it's there, right? So,
But to be fair, this is what I used to think growing up, right? I used to think you could logically argue with anybody about it. I mean, we've talked about this, many of these reflections along the way of, I've never won an argument in my entire life. No one's ever won an argument. Like, because if somebody thinks that, yeah, you might put a doubt in somebody's mind, but you didn't walk away with them going, yeah, I'm sure that Chris was right. Like that is not, that is not how it works ever. Right. Like that, they took a 1 degree turn, whether they knew it or they didn't, toward some idea. Like, but that idea, when you challenge, are you sure? Like, and you start to ask these questions to them. Honestly, most of the time people just get really defensive and they're like, I don't, maybe I'm not sure, but you need to fucking stop challenging my identity and my way of being, because like, I don't want to be in this conversation right now. Right. The only way that you get to your own, I'm sure, is through self-discovery, right? Somebody else coming in and attacking you and challenging your mental constructs of the world and how you view the universe around you. The only way you get to I am sure is if you yourself do the work and stop and think and reflect every single day until you can make the decision where you are sure or you are not sure, right? Like, that is
so
the only way.
So, are you
Yes,
sure?
yes.
It's not someone else asking the question.
No, as a matter of
You
fact,
have to
somebody else will
ask
piss me off.
yourself the question. Are you sure?
Right.
Because if somebody asking you the question, you're gonna say, yeah.
Like, who the fuck are you to ask me if I'm sure about this? I don't give a shit. I'm done. I don't want to talk. I'm just defensive and annoyed. You know what I mean? Now you're just attacking me. Now I'm just angry, right? And I've shut my mind
And
off.
all you do is you're going to start to defend whether it's true or not. You can defend it anyway. And
Right.
so to me, that basically, kind of like makes it worse in terms of how you discover these, are you sure kind of degree. And to me, for me, based on the reflection itself, you have to be able to ask yourself these questions to lead to the discovery of whether or not you can come up with some kind of faith that this is something that means something to me, and I believe in it because whatever your personal experience tells you, versus trying to not ask the question or trying to be defensive when someone asks the question.
Right.
So for the sake of self-discovery, it is something you have to do yourself and not let someone else do it for you.
Yep.
You will never ever get to the point where you have the faith to defend that stand to your last breath. There are some people who believe in certain things so much that they would rather die.
Absolutely.
And
Freedom.
to me,
The Civil War, the Revolutionary War, we believed in freedom more than anything. We believed it. We were sure that it is a fundamental human right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and freedom. Like the founding fathers of this country were 100% sure that that is what people need in this world, the right to exist, to be a free person. I don't have a defined, like this is what living for two is, but I have an idea of what it means, right? And that idea is what drives you forward. We have an idea of what Clubany is, right? Like we don't know exactly what it is, right? Like we don't know exactly what it will become.
We can't explain it to you.
And we can't explain it to you. Well, no, actually we can. We've done it for 300.
But the thing is, it takes somebody following us through the experiences, and then from their perspective, say, okay, we're doing this, and we're following these kind of like steps and these kind of reflections. That kind of a journey, like a self-guided journey, is a guided journey, but still your own journey.
It's your
you
journey,
can decide then, because then I can go and peel the layers of onion. I can actually do that. But you are the one who's also watching. So I cannot say, close it, put it in a closed box, only me looking at it. I'm unpeeling the onion, and I tell you, inside of it, there is or isn't a something, right? And I tell you, hey, there isn't something. Have faith, trust me that it's there. Do you really believe me? Or on the flip hand, on the other side, where I'm showing it to you, I'm uncovering the layers, I'm looking at it, and I'm sure myself. You look at it and you judge for yourself whether you're sure or not. This is where I'm talking. This is what I'm talking about. Is as far as the year of magical learning is concerned, the Clubany, how Clubany, are you sure about Clubany? It is based on your own perceptions of what you see and how you feel after you've seen these videos.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so it is your own personal judgment, your own personal faith. I'm not giving to you, because faith is only yours. It cannot be shared. I don't think faith can be shared at all. I mean, it's like, hey, you may see the same thing, but the way you see me, maybe you have like for me, maybe I have colorblind, and I might see purple as gold, right? And I say, well, to me,
I'm sure
what I see is gold, and you see maybe it's purple for you, right? And so from your perspective, you decide for yourself. You decide for you what kind of faith, what kind of belief do you have in what you see and what you experience.
Right.
And so everything is unique. And the point we're trying to make here is that everything we do, it is individualized. It is never ever going to be, hey, this one thing is universal.
Yep. This is it. I ironically was having this exact conversation in a different forum earlier today. One of my employees is like a rock star. He's just really, really good at his job. I didn't teach him any of this stuff. I've given him input along the way, but like for the most part, it's all been him being curious, exploring, learning, iterating, trying new things, getting better at stuff. And when you ask him, like the question was posed to me by my boss a few weeks ago of, is it just this employee, or is he just like, why is he the only one having success? What is he doing that brings him success over these other people, right? Like, because there's a clear gap between him and everybody else in the team, right? Of how he performs and the outcomes that he produces, and everything is right with him. He's a great team player. He's a great company cultural fit. He's an avid learner. He's an amazing person, right? And he also happens to do really good at his job. So the question was posed to me, and I said, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what he does that's different than everybody else, right? So I went to him and I said, James, answer this question for me. What is it? What do you do that you feel like is better than that puts you in the position of how you succeed? He was like, I don't know. I have no idea. And I was like, that was my exact answer. I was like, let's unpack this a little bit. So he and I talked about this for like 35, 40 minutes, just exploring this question. Like, what is it? Like, and we just kept going down different rabbit holes and different things. And I think we came up with what the answer was. He said at one point in time, he was like, I just like to experiment and I'm curious and I like to try new things. I like to do this. I like to, and I was like, that's it. I think that's it. Like, he's curious. He asks questions and he keeps going down different rabbit holes. because that's his mind is taken in that way, and he's problem solving, right? And he's just curious about the problem. And he's like, I'm not sure if this is the right path, but I'm just going to keep going down this way. If I run into a dead end, I'm going to go this way. I'm sure that I can figure out how to get to the destination that everybody wants me to get to. I'm sure of that, but I don't know the exact path I'm going to take. So he just keeps taking different paths all over the place until he gets to where he wants to go. So then I took the same question of what he and I talked about, and I went to talk to a couple other of his teammates that I manage. And I asked them this question about him. And I was like, what is it? You know, they were like, I don't know. And then they started going down their own answers. One of my employees comes to me and he's like, hey, I just put together this campaign to go after XYZ. And here's how I want to position this. Here's how I want to, the message that I want to give. You know, here's all the materials I put together. And he's like, what do you think? And I was like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Like, you know, sure, try it, you know? And he goes, well, what do you mean you don't know? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I mean, how am I supposed to know if it's going to work or not? Like, you know, just try it. And then I asked that employee the question of like, what do you think that James does? You know, because I did the same thing when I was a seller, right? I was like, people would come to me and they'd ask me, Chris Sears, what do you do to be so good at your role of whatever? And I was like, I don't know. I just do what I do. You know, that's like asking LeBron James, what do you do that makes you LeBron James versus another 6'8" guy that's an incredibly athletic guy like Aaron Gordon, right? Like,
I'm just LeBron James.
He's like, I don't know. I'm LeBron James. I put in the extra work. I study the game.
It's like asking, like the monkey comes to the fish and asks the fish, hey, what is it that you do that makes you so good in the water?
Right.
Look at you. I mean, how can you swim so fast in water? I don't know. I'm a fish.
I just swim this way, right? So anyway, so to wrap it up the story, so this employee, I asked him like, what do you think that he does? And he goes, I don't know. And then eventually he got to the conclusion, well, he just keeps trying new things until he figures his way through. I was like, you're finally on the right path. Just start somewhere, figure it out. And then once you hit a roadblock, you go, am I sure that this is the dead end? No, I'm not sure. I can go this way. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go find this resource. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go send this message. This one didn't work. These are all the things that people like when you're a beaver, you just keep doing this stuff. When you're doing shit that you don't care about, and when you're doing shit that you stop being curious. When you're like, just somebody give me the fucking answer so I can just go through the wall. And I'm like, there is no answer.
It's like
no fucking answer. Like,
I mean, it's like when you have to do like safety trainings where you give an F about. You say, well, I don't really want to understand all these things. If I'm sitting on the computer, what kind of safety do I have to watch out for? Right? So I don't care. So I don't want to learn it. But if I were maybe I'm a police officer and I need to have safety training with guns and with protocols and with engagement or whatever, yeah, then I'm going to say, well, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to learn that, I'm going to figure it out. Because it has some kind of interest to me. But if I'm not in it, then it's not just like having a fish. Hey, fish, go figure out how to climb a tree. The fish say, well, I try really, really hard, but I can't even get to the trunk of the tree. I just can't get to the root. I'm done. But if you put him into the environment where he wants to be, he say, hey, I feel good. You put him in the water, he feels good. He explored to different places. That's just
explain why he does what he does. He just does it.
He just does it.
True. Why are you good at coding and creating new technologies?
I don't know.
Right. Like I
don't know.
I don't know.
I just find ways to make things work.
I think what you're about to say though is you problem solve because you care. Like you want to solve the problem and your mind is engaged by it. Your synapses fire and you're like, I'm going to go and try this. And then you hit a dead, like if you try to explain to somebody how to create some app that you've created and how you did it, like you're going to go, well, it was like the way that you're going to describe it to me is going to go, well, that makes a lot of sense. That's simple. That's simple. And you're going to be like, but how I got to this simple answer was not simple, right? Like it took me 900,000 twists and turns until I finally figured it out where I was like, oh, this is the simple path forward. But it was like your 900th iteration to find that simple path forward, right? You know, I was talking to this dude yesterday morning, a friend of mine met this guy that was an acquaintance of his, and he just started a Salesforce implementation practice. He used to be in the consulting world, and he and like 4 of his buddies decided to go form this implementation partnership, Salesforce implementation partner. They've been around for like 8 months, and they're thinking about scaling their sales team and starting a sales team. Basically, a friend of mine told him, "Hey, you should talk to Chris. He's been in the world you're in. He's sold Salesforce. He's worked at Salesforce. He does pro services now. Like he's probably a really good person to go talk to about this stuff." And I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll talk to the guy." So I had like this 45-minute long chat with him yesterday morning. And one of the questions that he asked me all kinds of questions, and I gave him very simple answers because they were simple to me now. But you said this yesterday when we were talking about how would you go set up the marketing stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's simple. You just do this, this, and this, and you're like, well, that's not what people understand. And I'm like, oh, that's a good point. So this guy is asking me these questions, and he was like, so if I was going to hire 3 AEs, who would you hire? And I go, well, you got to remember, what is the AE role about? What are the best personality traits you want to be in this? What is the actual job function of this job? And like, different activities you've done that would bring you to a background where this would be something that you would actually be a natural fit for. And I'm explaining all this logic to him and all this reasoning behind it. And eventually, we came to some really, really fun, foundationally simple, but also foundationally profound ideas that I was sharing with him of like who you would want to hire, how you'd want to hire them, who you like, where you find these people, and yada, yada, yada. And he was like, man, I've never really thought about it, anything like this in any kind of capacity. He's like, but it makes
And we're
a
taking
ton of sense.
like, hey, what you thought was simple, it took you like 20 years
Yes.
to make it simple. It
Yes.
took you so many 900 iterations to all the little, other permutations that doesn't work until you
Right.
find the one that works. And you say, well, that's simple. But that's what I'm saying is people can't see what you see. And when you say, hey, I say, nah, I guarantee you, there are gurus out there that's the only job is to set up HubSpot, to set up, whatever you think was so
Right.
simple that it can take you like 5 minutes to do. There are gurus out there that's charging thousands of dollars just to set it up for them. Like,
I told this dude that was talking to me, I was like, you probably would have needed to pay me $10,000 if I was just a dick about this and told you, here's exactly, you want sales and marketing 101, you don't have a background in sales and nobody on your team does, and this is what you need to have to be successful in this ecosystem of what you're trying to do. Like, yeah, I'll charge you. You want to talk to me? Pay me $10,000 or something like that, and I'll give you 2 hours of my time and leave you with the playbook of who to go after, or what model to put
because
together.
even if you do a playbook, right? A playbook to me is worth more than 10,000, worth 100,000.
Sure.
Because $10,000, like, let's say I want to be like you, and I want to run my own sales team, and I'm going to learn it. I'm going to spend $10,000, and how many hours to get there? I can probably be like maybe 1/20 of where you would have been, right?
Yeah.
So in the flip side, I can guarantee you that, hey, there are so many YouTube videos out there about how to program something. I guarantee you that, hey, go out and build yourself an app, right? Take $10,000, take $100,000, like try to figure it yourself. I guarantee you, there are so many people.
Stephen Curry has shooting videos all over the place. Shoot like Stephen Curry, go for it. I'm sure you can figure out how Stephen Curry shoots his jump shot.
It can give you every single point, and like, hey, when you shoot, you put this, and you angle it, blah blah. Every single thing out of
break it down. You still can't do it. Like I could watch Roger Federer hit a backhand slice for the next 25 days straight, and watch people break it down with careful analysis. And then if I went onto a tennis court and tried to do it, it would take me a lifetime to figure out how to do what he did. You know what I mean? He's like, well, it's simple. All you do is just go like this. The ball's coming and you go like this. Like that's it. Like you go like this, and you're gonna be like, huh? But I don't understand. Like I'm trying to do that. Mine goes this way. Mine goes that way. You have unreal control. It goes to the exact right spot. It's got crazy good spin. You put side spin around.
E is for energy. Right. It's for mass. And C is speed. It's speed light. It's simple, Chris.
No.
Yeah. And then you go, do what? What am I doing? What the fuck? How can I explain to you, Chris? Look, E equal MC squared. I cannot make it simpler. And you say, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I literally wrote it down.
Chris, you know energy, right? You know energy, right? Energy, right? Energy, right? You know mass, the weight, the mass, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know light, right? Light. Right?
Yeah,
you know how to square things?
I get it.
Okay.
I get it all.
Go do it.
I figure out how to put this in reality and how it actually impacts.
This is exactly how I feel when you told me, hey, how about you go do blah blah blah. But stop, Chris. I don't want to know. You get to the point where, like, when you see something as so simple, but for the people who are below them looking up, it's not simple.
But you know how you can get to be super sure about something? It's asking a lot of questions.
You go 1 degree up, another degree, until you get there. But then you're gonna have to take the journey yourself. Right. But that's what I'm saying is that a lot of people, they don't take the time to do that, right? And like I said,
They
there's
just
certain
want the
things.
answers.
But back to what we were saying before is there are certain things that to be, Steph Curry or to be LeBron James is you just be who you are. You're not being who somebody else. Like LeBron James saying, "I want to be like Tiger Woods." Well, why would I want to be like Tiger Woods? Because I don't want to go play golf. So for me to go play golf, I bring LeBron James to it. It's not going to work. So you say, hey, you go and say, hey, LeBron James, why do you suck so much at golf? Right? What does Tiger Woods do that it far surpass you in this regard? Right? And so you think about comparing LeBron James to Tiger Woods and tell Tiger Woods, hey, Tiger, what did you do that in this particular task, this performance, you are so good? And then you go and you tell LeBron James, hey, why do you think Tiger Woods is so good at what he does? And why do you think you suck so much?
Grit. It's grit.
It's grit, right? This is where we come up with a bunch of BS excuses about what is and what isn't.
It's his passion and perseverance. Like, okay, so a perfect example of this, of what you're referring to, is tonight I was playing pickleball because it was so nice out. Like lob flip shot when they looked like it was going to be a dink. You don't know what these words mean, but they were going to hit a tiny little drop shot over the net. It looked like they were going to do that, and then they flicked it just a little bit higher, but they caught me and my partner both off guard that we were just standing at the net. And like usually lobbing in pickleball is not a good idea because the court's not that big, and most people can be able to hit it back with pretty good power from anywhere on the court, right? Well, sometimes you can catch people off guard though, and if you hit it really right, you can catch them off guard. Well, this person hit this perfect lob. It was clearly going to go over my head, clearly going to go over my partner's head, and it was also going to land in. So I didn't know what else to do. I just sprung up and I hit this perfect shot where I just somehow flicked my paddle forward at the exact right time and full spring at the top of the air. And I don't know how I got to the ball and I don't know how I hit it, but I hit the perfect shot with a lot of angle and pace. But it was all instinctual, all reaction. They both, my opponents looked over and they were like, wow, that was impressive. And I was like,
so Chris,
how do you do it? So if you ask me how I did that, I would go, well, you know what? Like, honestly, it probably has something to do with the fact that I run every single day. I do a lot of explosive exercises and things like that. So I didn't even think about my fitness, right, when I was jumping. But if I told you, well, you have to go run here's your path. You got to run every single day, do explosive work, do explosive hit workouts and things like that, where you're focusing on explosive movements, where you can do this. And when you get to that level, then you need to go master how to hit a forehand over an overhead
coordination, reaction.
Right, like pronate your wrist at the same time when you're going through like this. Like you're almost like you're hitting a serve, but you guys don't serve in pickleball. You serve underhand, but you don't know what an overhand.
So go play tennis for 15 years.
So go play tennis for 15 years. Go do all, and then you can maybe have a chance to do that shot, right? And I don't mean that to be a negative thing, but I'm like, for me, it was super simple. Like it was like just jump and pronate, like jump and hit and pronate at the same time. Like I didn't think about it, but like it was my instinctual
simple. Pronate, right? Hit and pronate, right?
How'd you do that?
Jump and hit. Come on.
Jump and hit. What do you mean? Just jump and hit. Like
jump and hit.
It's so these things don't just have like.
It makes you humble when you start to uncover these things. Like shit, it's that simple. I mean, that's what I'm saying is I don't want people to forget that what they do has a lot of value to someone else.
It does.
This is why I believe clubbing is so valuable. Is because what you think your 5 minutes is worth, like, hey, it's worth like 5 of my minutes, right? I mean, it's not much. But to other people, it was, it's weight in gold.
Yeah,
this is what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what it is that you do or what you think has value or not. It has value to someone. You just have to find the right person that wants that value. Just like I told you about Tiger Woods and LeBron James. Like these two are legends on their own. But you go and you tell LeBron to go play golf, he's gonna suck at it. I mean, I don't know in real life he is, but he probably cannot be as good as Tiger Woods. And you're going to ask him, LeBron, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why can't you do what Tiger Woods does?
Like this, and hit the ball,
Hey, LeBron, go to the gym, do some weight, pump some iron, dude, right? And LeBron say, fuck, I've been pumping iron since I was a little kid. What are you talking about? What else do I need to do? You go out there, you swing and make sure that you have pump power behind it. All these things, LeBron's going to say, well, I don't know. I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
You need to build muscles specifically in your lower back and your upper shoulders. And really, you need to have like the wrist. You know what I've noticed in my own body is how fucking strong my wrist and forearm are on my right arm versus my left arm.
Right.
Because I've spent my entire life holding a racket. My hand is very strong and my forearm is very strong in certain areas. When I try to pick up a racket with my left hand, it feels literally differently than it feels in my right hand, because my right hand has been basically molded to hold every muscle in this whole entire area of my body has been molded over a lifetime of how to hold, feel like, you know, that feeling to be able to hit that shot, right? Like to your point, like Stephen Curry's body, LeBron James' body, Tiger Woods' body, everything about them has been molded in tiny little iterations. They don't even know, but like they've done it so many times where like literally their body is built now for doing what they do, right?
Everything is fitted for that particular person, for that particular environment. That's what I'm saying is you take LeBron's and you put him on the golf course, right? You're gonna say he's the biggest bust ever. It's because you're asking a fish to climb a tree. I mean, he's not in his environment, and so you can say, "Hey, Tiger Woods, go play b-ball," right? He can't, right?
You might be okay,
but he's gonna be. I mean, the thing is, you're talking about two legends in their own rights, right? And you say, well, yes, let's say LeBron, he may be decent at golf, but he cannot beat Tiger Woods, right? He cannot even be in the circle of Tiger Woods. I mean, I think that's pretty fair assessment, because LeBron could be decent. He can be more than average, but he cannot be in the same circle as the legends. And like Tiger Woods would never be in the same circle as the legends, because the legends are what, like Steph Curry, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, like all these people. These are the circles. These are Hall of Famer legends, right? You just can't. I mean, Kobe Bryant, you cannot put them in the same circle. So even
all you got to do is put in 10,000 hours. Just put in the 10,000 hour rule and you'll figure it out. Grit in 10,000 hours.
How do you get 10,000 hours?
Grit and you'll be LeBron.
Like people who has, I mean, he spent 10,000 hours.
Oh yeah, he did.
He got one play.
Hey, well, he didn't really spend 10,000 hours, but he spent a lot of hours. He spent as many hours as everybody else, but like he wasn't good.
Meant to be. You cannot be who you want to be. Be who you are.
Agreed. All right. I think we can put a pin on this one, but like the question we can leave with everybody is, what areas of your life are you able to emphatically answer yes to the "are you sure" question? And if you can't, then I would encourage you to start asking the questions, "are you sure?" and find that 1 degree turn every single day toward something you are sure about, because like that matters. It matters in life. You need to be sure about some stuff. You need to be sure about the stuff that really matters to you. And if you don't have anything that matters to you in your life, like that's a life that I wouldn't want to live. So something to think about.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Good night.